away, especially when discussing about Chiwenga, is that at the moment he seems to be supported, though others are doing it cautiously. He is not a man of numerous words, especially publicly, and he does not interact with media. I don't remember any point where Chiwenga conducted a press briefing. I think it must be once when he was sick, and they never did press briefings, except maybe public addresses. I'm yet to see a press briefing by a retired General Chiwenga. So in essence, I'm trying to say publicly he has limited his utterances as a ZANU-PF vice president, but some of the sentiments he has actually echoed, they are really scary. And I think at the moment, people are seemingly rallying behind him because they know one thing, that he is capable of removing Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. That is why, and also people are desperate. The Zimbabwean political situation at the moment is so desperate. People desperately need change. And that is why anyone who can remove the current president, people would support that particular president. They don't care about the character of that president and whether he can actually do the most important thing that is needed in Zimbabwe, that is to democratize Zimbabwe, allow political freedom, and allow leadership that is centered on people, can be voted for by the people, can also be removed by the people, just like any other democratic countries like Botswana. So the question of today that I will try to ponder around is, and also it will be interesting to hear your views for the followers of this channel, will Chiwenga democratize Zimbabwe? That is question number one. Will he work with the leaders like Nelson Chamisa and other opposition political party leaders? Will he allow for a multi-party democracy? And the issue, we know that the other problem of Zimbabwe is ZANU-PF rigging elections. Now, we can get some sense of this Chiwenga faction, especially borrowing from the words that have been spoken by blessed guests, and maybe looking at other groups that have decided to join retired General Chiwenga. And these groups is your Matibela. Matibela-led war veterans were not ZANU-PF war veterans. It is war veterans who decided to disassociate themselves with ZANU-PF. And up to today, I think they are still not affiliated to ZANU-PF. It's the very first time they are deciding to support a ZANU-PF preferred presidential candidate who is not the president. I don't remember them supporting Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. So which means there might have been underground discussions between Chiwenga and this group of war veterans, in my view. Now also, if you want to get a perspective of the character of retired General Chiwenga, mixture of what those associated with him are, as well as also what he has said as an individual. Now, there is one time when he was speaking about money changers, and afterwards we saw the son of Chris Mutswango being arrested, and people were actually, he generalizes his statement. You would never know who exactly is he pointing his words at. That is the most difficult thing about Chiwenga. So let me start by dealing with this one first before I come to this deep one. Is there a possibility that he will work with Nelson Chamisa? Definitely, I strongly believe that there have been discussions, and there may be discussions, not if they haven't taken place, there may be discussions in the near future. Maybe this is why you see Nelson Chamisa not forming a political party at the moment. It is because he has been told that under Mnangagwa, because Mnangagwa wants to establish a one-party state, it will be futile if you form another political party. He can do to you what he did to MTC Alliance, what he did to Triple C, as well as to this current political party, because he views you and perceives you as a threat. I remember at one point there was information that Mnangagwa wanted to eliminate totally Nelson Chamisa. Even Nelson Chamisa actually talked about this, but he did not directly name Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa. He talked about his life being in danger. So who was releasing this information to Nelson Chamisa? Definitely, I must attest to you that as much as opposition supporters would not love to see a scenario other leaders are seen discussing with ZANU-PF members or other factions of ZANU-PF, but I can attest to you that such discussions does indeed happen. At one point, Nelson Chamisa was a lawyer for Mnangagwa. At one point, he even attended the inauguration of Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa. So don't think that these individuals, and I think numerous times Nelson Chamisa have said it on public platforms that he has been in discussion with Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa, but to no avail. So these people talk, you may discover that they have each other's phone numbers. And also, I strongly believe retired General Chiwenga faction may be also engaging Nelson Chamisa. So the question is, will there be a change of ZANU-PF attitude in case decides to may actually lead Zimbabwe and take over from Mnangagwa and be the one at the helm? I think they may bring Nelson Chamisa into their group, because they understand it very, very well, that they cannot rescue the economy as ZANU-PF. Like what you said, I borrow these words from Blessed Keza. Blessed Keza talked of a national transitional authority. And the National Transitional Authority will consist of various political parties that may actually be available to come to the fore, especially when that period eventually arrives, of which I'm sure it will certainly arrive. They may bring him, not out of maybe good faith, I must put it, but in the interest of trying to revive the economy and get to experience what we almost experienced in around from 2009 to around, was it 2013, if not 2014? It must be 2013, if not 2014, I have forgotten. You see, I was still living in Zimbabwe that particular time. So in my view, definitely there may be a working arrangement, but on whether it will be sincere, that still remains open. And the other question, in case will Chiwenga allow free, fair, and credible elections? I'm very, very scared about that. I don't foresee that, especially if I were to take the words of actually, yes, 2008, thank you very much. If I were to actually borrow the words of some of the associates of Chiwenga, that is General Anselm Senyatwe. He has said ZANU-PF will lead Zimbabwe until cows grows horns. So crows horns, and said that. So those words, people at the moment, they may be too excited about what is politically taking place in ZANU-PF. But if you are politically astute, they should matter at the moment, because they give the mirror of where we are to politically, especially where the future is taking us to. So you having as an ally of Chiwenga echoing such sentiments is very, very dangerous. And if it was in a democratic country, you would have been removed as a military general and also possibly face criminal charges, because that is against the current constitution of Zimbabwe. So that makes it scarier. I don't foresee these ZANU-PF members, whether be it Chiwenga faction or Mnangagwa faction, allowing a scenario whereby Zimbabwe can be a democratic country, unless if God intervenes. This requires, when I say God intervenes, I'm not speaking in the form of what Nelson Chamisa has been speaking, but I'm saying unless if God intervenes, I'm speaking about a certain spirit influencing Zimbabweans to maybe have a perspective that I have, that they are the owners of their destiny. And if they decide to beat their fears, I've always said this without fear or favor. If Zimbabweans decide not to be cowards and say enough is enough to this government of Emerson Mnangagwa, nothing is impossible. Of course, there may be resistance, but at the end of the day, I can attest to you the people will win at the end of the day. But Zimbabweans pinning their hopes on factionalism of ZANU-PF and thinking that that factionalism, if they align with a certain faction, they can get their desired political aspirations. I'm telling you, we are far from actually getting that. Because politicians have mastered the language that is spoken by Blessed Geza. It's a good language at the moment, and it comes at a ripe time. People are tired of Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa is becoming very disastrous each and every day. So anyone who can actually get rid of Mnangagwa, people will support that person out of desperation. Out of desperation, not because that person deserves the support, out of protest, to protest against the current person, because the current person have graduated to be perceived as a political monster in Zimbabwe. I hope you get me. So, in my view, I think in conclusion, I've said Nelson Chamisa can possibly work with Chiwenga, but will they work well? The percentage is very low on that. Number, I'm skeptical about that. I don't need to feed you with lies like others, you see, because I want people to watch me. People would rather, I would rather say the truth that would be listened by a few people, not to lie in the name of getting numerous views. So, in my view, the working together is possible. Will he usher Zimbabwe to be a democratic society? I'm very skeptical. Anything is possible, but I'm very skeptical. So, and I'll maintain that point. I'm very, very skeptical. Thank you very much for watching us. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, guess what? You become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button. No, now it's subscribe plus. I have to learn this. Subscribe plus button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Apologies for the background sound. When I'm here, it is beyond my control. When I'm at home, definitely you will hear minimal of that sound. Thank you very much. This is a TV that broadcasts everywhere, even in a mountain, even in a shop, anywhere when it's necessary.